everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I have good news. I'm starting a new series, and my new series is going to be called Go Girl. So right here, these two stacks are my general books that I'll be reading, and these three are the special series. This one is called Angels, this one is called Besties, and this one is called Differences. And the shirt that I'm wearing, it's from my big sister, and her name is Omiapu, and she's the daughter of Arif, Chachu, and Chichi, and they're my relatives. And 2 years ago when I was stuck in Bangladesh due to family problems, Arif Chachu helped me to book emergency tickets to come to Australia, because at that time my dad didn't have money to afford one, so he paid for it with his own pocket, so that's why I'm here in Australia. And if you're watching this video, Arif Chachu and Omiapu, I just want to say thank you, and I'm really grateful for what you did. And back to the story. Yeah. Today's book one of Go is called The Sleepover, written by Rohan McClory and illustrated by Ash Oswald. Hopefully I pronounced their names correctly. Chapter 1. It was 6 o'clock on Friday morning, the last day of the school year. The alarm hadn't gone off yet, but Olivia was awake and dressed, sitting at the kitchen table, eating her toast, waiting for her mum to get up. She drank a glass of milk and ate an apple, but her mum slept on. She brushed her teeth and made a sandwich for lunch, but even then her mum did not stir. Olivia checked the clock on the microwave. 6:30. Surely her mum be awake by now. She tiptoed along the hallway and looked in. Her mum was fast asleep, snoring slightly. Olivia knocked gently on the door. Her mum did not move. Olivia cleared her throat. Ahem! Her mum rolled over the bed and snored more loudly. Olivia was getting desperate. Mom, she whispered. Mom, she said gently. Mom, she said more firmly. This was getting her nowhere. Mom, she yelled, and suddenly stamped her foot. Said her mom, sitting up in bed, her hair all fluffy at one side. What's up, baby, Mom? Mom, said Olivia, you have to get up. I'm sleeping over at Ching Ching's house tonight. Are you? Said her mom. Are you sure? Did we need to talk about this? Mom, said Olivia sternly, because she had to be strict with her mother sometimes. You know it is. We talked about it on Monday, remember? You spoke to Mrs. Adams on the phone. I know, baby, said her mom, yawning. I'm just teasing you. Well, said Olivia, will you get up now? Her mom said, still sounding tired. What time is it? 6:30, said Olivia. Or 11. Or 11 later by now. We've been talking for at least 5 minutes. 6:30 or 6:35, said Olivia. Is the sun even up yet? Asked her mom. Mom, okay, said her mom. Even though it's still the middle of the night, she grumbled. Come on, said Olivia. Here's your dressing gown. While her mum had a shower, Olivia checked her bag again, as well as her lunchbox she had packed, her pajamas, her swimmer, some clean clothes for tomorrow, her hairbrush, and a small box of chocolate for Ching Ching's mum to say thank you. Was that everything? It was almost 7 o'clock, and Olivia was dancing with impatience, waiting for her mom to finish blow-drying her hair. She was ready. Okay, she said to Olivia. Now are you sure you've packed everything you need? Yes, said Olivia. Pajamas? Yes, said Olivia. Chocolates for Miss Adams? Yes, said Olivia. Clean skincare for tomorrow? Mom, well, have you? Yes, said Olivia. Come on. All right, said her mom. Just checking. I'll just get the keys. But Olivia was already out the door and waiting at the and walked down the path so slowly. I'm gonna miss you tonight, said her mom. Yes, said Olivia, looking ahead for the bus. I will. I won't see you all day. I won't have anyone to eat dinner with, and you'll be at Ching Ching's house until tomorrow. I know, said Olivia. What time am I picking you up? Lunchtime, said Olivia. Ching Ching and I will have breakfast together and play. In the morning, and then you can pick me up at lunchtime. Lunchtime it is, says her mom, giving her a hug and a big smoochy kiss. The bus was just arriving at the corner. Bye, Mom, said Olivia, yelling back over her shoulder as she ran to catch it. At least she was on her way. Chapter 2. Excuse me for a moment. What do we try out? Oh no, it's okay, it's just water. On the bus, Olivia tried to relax. She looked out the window and she saw how few cars were there on the road. She looked around the bus and saw the empty seats. She wasn't going to be late at all. In fact, she was early. It felt funny to sit on the same old bus wearing her same old school uniform and carrying her bag, same old school bag. Knowing that the bag were pink and her green pajamas. What if she got to school and Miss Delano asked her to fetch something and she accidentally pulled out her new blue kinkers instead? She would die. Or what if somebody found the box of chocolates for Ching Ching's mom and ate them and she had nothing to give her? Or what if Olivia was not good at relaxing? By the time the bus arrived, she was exhausted through 100 different disasters and had worried about each and every one. And it wasn't even 8 o'clock yet. Olivia dragged her off the school bus. Olivia dragged her bag off the school bus. She was starting to feel slightly sick. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to sleep over at Ching Ching's house, even though they were best friends. What if she and Ching Ching had a fight and they weren't even friends by the time her mom came? To pick them up from school. Maybe she had to tell Ching Ching that she had changed her mind. Maybe she could just give chocolates to Ching Ching and then phone her mom and say she would come home for dinner after all. Across the playground, she saw Ching Ching waving at her, a huge smile on her face. Ching Ching's mom was a teacher and her dad was the head minister. So Ching Ching and her brothers were always at school early. Hi, Olivia, said Ching Ching, running over. Isn't tonight going to be cool? Yeah, said Olivia, running to meet her. Halfway, it's going to be the best. She gave Ching Ching a hug and threw her bag under the tree. They went to play and with all the other kids until the bell rang. Last day of school was dragged on forever. Everyone was itching to get out to be on the holidays. But first they had to empty their lockers, tidy up the class, and collect all the art that had been done that year. Nobody could concentrate. Dylan kept pestering Miss Delano, asking, But why, Miss? Is it the last day of school? Can't we just play?" By lunchtime, Miss Delano had given up. "Come on, Bill, win." "Okay," she said, "you win. We've done enough and it's too hot to work anyway." They spent the rest of the day singing and talking about what everyone was doing for the holidays. When home time came, everyone was lined up ready to go. Bags on their shoulders, they all crowded at the school gates, staring their ears off the bell. "There it is," yelled someone. They said, "We're off." Flying out to freedom, someone ran into the buses. The others went up the hill to the train station. Some walked home, and some, like Olivia and Ching Ching, waited to be picked up. Ching Ching's parents both worked at the high school where Ching Ching's brothers went. Ching Ching was adopted and didn't look anything like her brothers. They were big, loud boys, all the same, with short, spiky blonde hair. Their names were Henry, Daniel, and William. Olivia had met them lots of times before. Of course, the first time they had met at Ching Ching's birthday party at the zoo. The boys were funny and rough and teased Ching Ching and picked her up, carrying her around the zoo, shouting at one another, "Throw her to the seals! No, too little! Not enough for a seal to eat! Here, catch!" And then Daniel had actually thrown Ching Ching to Henry. Olivia had been astonished, watching her friend sail through the air like a doll. Henry had caught her and called to William, "Shall we chunk her to the monkeys?" "Yeah," said William. "She looks like a monkey. Smells like one too," says Daniel. "Let's go," said Henry and all the three boys as they carried Ching Ching away, hooting, chattering like monkeys. They went. Olivia had been so upset. She was nearly in tears. How could they be so horrible to Ching Ching, and on her birthday? But Ching Ching had come back to giggling, sitting on William's shoulder and waving to everyone. So they weren't bad boys, exactly. Just that Olivia didn't have any brothers and wasn't quite sure what to make of them. Chapter 3. "Hey," said Ching Ching. There they are. She pointed to a car slowly driving by, looking for somewhere to park. Olivia could see that it was full of Ching Ching's brothers. Ching Ching's mom waved at her hand out the driver's window. "Come on," said Ching Ching, and they ran into the car. Miss Adams parked the car long way up the street from school. Ching Ching and Olivia were puffing by the time they got there. It was a hot summer afternoon, and their school bags were heavy with all the things they had brought from home to their desks and lockers. Olivia had her clothes for a sleepover too, so her bag was bulging up as it zipped. Henry was sitting at the front next to Miss Adams, and Daniel and William, their school bags were filling the back seat, so Ching Ching and I decided to split in the seat in the special backwards facing seats, facing the car boot. Olivia loved sitting back there, watching the traffic come towards them, waving to the drivers in the cars, and behind, as they waited at the lights, Miss Adams opened the boot and helped them climb in. "Hello, Olivia," she said after kissing Ching Ching. "Hello, Miss Adams," said Olivia. "Now," said Miss Adams, "did you remember everything?" standing behind her. Ching Ching rolled her eyes at Olivia. Olivia tried not to laugh. Yes, I think so, said Olivia. Your pajamas? Said Miss Adams. Yes. Your toothbrush? Yeah. Olivia began, but then stopped. Her hand had covered her mouth. Her eyes were as round as skewers. She felt like herself from blushing to her neck and hair. She was horrified. She had forgotten her toothbrush. Oh, no, she said sadly. That's okay, Miss Adams. I have to stop at the shops. On the way home, anyway, I'll buy you a toothbrush there. I'm sorry, said Olivia. It's no problem, said Miss Adams. You jump in with Ching Ching and we'll be off. Olivia was miserable. She had mucked up her sleepover with Ching Ching even before they got to her house. How could she be so forgetful? How could she have left her toothbrush behind? She had been so careful with everything else that she felt like crying. Don't worry, Ching Ching. I always forget my toothbrush. That's why, Mom asked. But it was too embarrassing, and Olivia couldn't be cheered up. If only she knew that things were about to get worse. Chapter 4. Since we're on chapter 4 now, okay folks, since we're on chapter 4 now, only 5 more chapters. Let's see how the sleepover goes. Is it going to be fun? We'll see. Anyways, Miss Adams pulled up to the car park. All the kids streamed out. Miss Adams sent Henry and William to the grocer's to buy some potatoes, green bananas, and broccoli. She sent Daniel to the supermarket to buy milk and rice. And she went up to the chemist to pick up some tablets for Mr. Adams, and a toothbrush for Olivia. Ching Ching found a purple one with stars. You have to get this one, Mom, she said. Please, I have a pink one now and Olivia can have the same. So Mrs. Adams bought the toothbrush and they met the boys at the butcher's. When the butcher saw them standing there, Henry and William with the vegetables, Daniel with the milk and rice, and Miss Adams with the girls, he looked amazed and said, "What a lot of children." He leaned over at the counter and smiled at Olivia. "Are you having a friend over to play, aren't you? Aren't you lucky?" he said. "Oh, this was bad too. This was bad, too terrible." Olivia looked at Miss Adams, her long blonde hair and blue eyes. She looked at Henry, Daniel, and William. They had long hair and light blue eyes too. She looked at Ching Ching with her shiny black hair and dark brown eyes, and they realized that two strangers Ching Ching did not like. She belonged. Instead, the butcher thought Olivia was Mrs. Adams' daughter, and Ching Ching was a friend. This was much worse than forgetting her a toothbrush. Even worse than thought of Henry and Daniel William accidentally sneaking her Kinters. She looked sideways at Ching Ching to see if she was angry or upset and embarrassed, as Olivia was, but Ching Ching, looking at her mom with an odd smile on her face. Miss Adams looked at the butcher and said, "What?" Miss Adams hugged Ching Ching tightly to her. Only this one's mine," she said loudly. "I don't know where the rest of them came from." Ching Ching giggled in her mom's arms. "Really?" said the butcher, looking surprised. "Yes, it's true," said said Henry. We're all adopted, except for Ching Ching. Oh, well, said the butcher. Well, what can I get you? 3 kilos of sausages, please, said Mrs. Adams. Back in the car, Olivia whispered to Ching Ching. That was awful. Oh, we don't care, laughed Ching Ching. It happens all the time. Mom made into a game. Now the boys compete to see who can say the silliest thing with a straight face. Henry always wins, of course. Chapter 5. Ching Ching's house was very different from Olivia's. At home, it was just Olivia and her mom. They lived in a small flat. They had 1 bedroom each, and a sitting room where they had dinner of the coffee table. In front of the TV and a balcony where they hung their washing and grew their herbs in pots. Everything was crowded but very neat. Ching Ching's house was much bigger. There was 4 bedrooms, one for Mr. and Mrs. Adams, one for Henry, one that Daniel and William shared, and one for Ching Ching. They had a huge kitchen and lounge room, and a backyard with trees and a swimming pool. There was lots of space, but everything was untidy and cluttered. The books, the papers on every surface, footballs, tennis balls, and sport shoes all over the place. Coffee mugs and pencil cases, and the calculators and toys, even bits of cold toast. It was a mess. Olivia loved it. She was a quiet girl, but she secretly loved all the noise and chaos of Ching Ching's house. At her house, Olivia would have some fruit and yogurt for the afternoon tea, and then she would do her homework until her mom came from work. They cooked dinner together and watched TV. At Ching Ching's house, Mrs. Adams gave them biscuits and sponge cakes for afternoon tea, and sent them all outside to play cricket. Olivia and Ching Ching swam in the pool until Mr. Adams came home from work, being the head minister. Then they all sat down to dinner at the dining table. Olivia's mom cooked spicy things like chili beans and curry. They served dinner from straight pots on the stove. If only Olivia wanted to see seconds, she had to go back to the kitchen. Mrs. Adams cooked quite different food in enormous pots laid out on a table, serving dishes with everyone helped themselves. That night, they were having sausages, mashed potato, beans, and broccoli. The mashed potato was okay, and Olivia was used to beans and broccoli, but her mom never cooked sausages. Olivia really didn't like them, but Mr. Adams put 3 on her plate without asking, and now she had to eat them. Looking around the table, Mr. Adams and Henry were putting the barbecue sauce on their sausages. Mrs. Adams was sprinkling herbs with salt and pepper. Ching Ching was having tomato sauce. Do you want some? She asked Olivia. Yes, please, said Olivia. I'd like tomato sauce. And maybe she had enough of its little. Maybe if she had enough of it, she could get through the sausages. She took the bottle from Ching Ching. It was a big bottle, but it was nearly empty, and the sauce was taking forever to trickle out. Olivia shook it gently all over her plate. Nothing. She shook it again. Where's the tomato sauce? Said Daniel. Olivia using it? Olivia's using it, said Ching Ching. Hurry up, said Daniel, rolling his eyes. Olivia blushed. She could feel everyone looking at her and the stupid bottle of tomato sauce. The sauce still hadn't come out. Daniel, said Mr. Adams, don't be rude. Take your time, Olivia. Daniel's in no hurry. Yes, I am, said Daniel. I'm starving. Look, just give the bottle a good thump, he said to Olivia. Olivia wished she'd never come, or that Daniel would shut up, or at the very least the sauce would come out. But then she hit the bottle hard and splat! A huge dollop of sauce splattered out of the bottle all over the place. So it's just so funny. All over her plate, making a disgusting sound. It covered all through the sausages, all of the beans, most of the mashed potato. Oh, come on, said Daniel. Have you left any for us? Daniel, said Mr. Adams. Enough. Ching Ching poked her tongue out at her brother. Olivia passed in the sauce, not even looking at him. But, Dad, said Daniel, you never let me have that much sauce. Why can you always say that we can only have a dab? Olivia just wanted to disappear. Dinner was a disaster. Yep, that dinner was really a disaster. Dinner was a disaster. She tried to pretend that she liked having great pools of sauce all over her food, but she cut up the first sausage and ate one piece. It was dripping with sauce. It's not too bad, she told herself. The boys were talking to their dad, and Ching Ching was telling her mom about school, so no one was left to talk to Olivia. Good. She kept her head down and worked through her sausages, covering each bite of sauce. By the time she finished her dinner, she felt ill. She never wanted to taste tomato sauce again. Her throat was burning with it more than anything in the world. Olivia wanted her mom to phone her up and say Olivia needed to go back home right away. Has everyone had enough to eat? Said Mr. Adams. That was great, said Mrs. Adams. That was great, said Mr. Adams. William groaned at the plate, his belly. Henry burped. Henry, said Mr. Adams. Olivia, dear, would you like some more? Olivia shook her head firmly. No way, she thought. No thanks, she said, trying to sound polite. Right then, Mr. Adams cleared the table. Mrs. Adams cleared the table. The Adams had no television, but they have a dishwasher. After dinner, each person rinsed their own plate and stacked them in the dishwasher. When the table was cleared, Mrs. Adams bought a tub of ice cream and a packet of waffle cones on the table. One ice cream cone each, she said, and you can eat them outside. She made up the cones and passed them one by one along the table. Now, shoo, she said, I need some peace and quiet. Chapter 6. Wow, that dinner was such a disaster. Folks, that dinner was a really disaster, but it was really funny. She got sauce all over her meal. Chapter 6. Outside, it was still light. The sun was setting through and the sky was pink and orange over the trees. Henry, Daniel, and William ate their ice creams as fast as they could and went back to playing cricket. Ching Ching and Olivia made their ice creams last as long as possible. They decided to go for another swim. It's so nice to swim, and as it gets dark, said Ching Ching, the water is so warm, and you can just sit and lay on your back and watch the bats go by. And the stars come out. Olivia agreed. They paddled and talked and looked at the sky, except for the boys shouting as they played cricket. It was very peaceful. After a while, it was too dark for the boys to see the ball, and they packed up and went back inside. It was really quiet by the pool now, and tiny bit of spooky. Do you ever think, said Olivia, you could just sink under the water and never come up? Yeah, said Ching Ching. You could swim so deep that you got stuck and down the big plug hole. She shuddered happily at thought. They did this sometimes. She talked about scary things about how badly they could frighten themselves, and the next day there'd be nothing. But your pigtail's stuck in the pool, Flitter, said Olivia. And then one foot would be washed upon a beach miles and miles away, said Ching Ching. And you, they said together, holding tight on the edge of the pool just in case. We should sleep out here tonight, said Ching Ching. Yes, said Olivia. What about mosquitoes? We should sleep right under the sheets, said Ching Ching. Maybe we could burn one of those smelly candles too. We could stay up all night and watch the sunrise, said Olivia. Ching Ching. It was time for Mrs. Adams calling from the back door. Ching Ching. It was time for Mrs. Adams calling from the back door. Time for bed. You and Olivia out of the pool now. You can so tell that your mom is a school teacher, she said. They got out of the pool and found that their fingers and toes had gone wrinkly. The air was cool on their wet skin, and by the time they got inside, they were shivering. They stood together in front of the bathroom mirror, with their matching toothbrushes, giggling and trying to brush their teeth, chattering. They brushed their hair, and Ching Ching tied her backs along in a long, low pair of plaits for bed. They changed into their pajamas and decided it was too much effort to sleep outside that night. Ching Ching had bunk beds, and it was because it was the first time Olivia had slept over, and she had got to sleep on the top. I always read for a bit before I go to sleep, said Ching Ching. Would you like to borrow a book or do you have one? Borrow one, please, said Olivia, because Ching Ching always had heaps of books. Olivia supposed it was because both of her parents were teachers. Olivia found one about a girl who ran away to sea on a pirate ship. It looked very interesting. But when she climbed up the ladder to go to her bed and it got under the covers, she didn't feel like reading at home. In her own bed, her mom usually came and kissed her goodnight. Sometimes they talked about their day. Sometimes Olivia read out loud from the book, and sometimes her mom told her a story instead. She remembered how her mom had said the morning she would miss Olivia. Olivia realized that was the first time in her life she had gone to bed without even a hug from her mom. She felt a bit sad and lonely, outside the pool talking talking with Ching Ching. Olivia had forgotten all about the embarrassment of dinner. Now lying in the bed as she stared about, thinking all over again, she felt her stomach shrink into a cold, hard ball. It was too late to call her mum to go home. She was stuck here. Daniel was horrible. Mrs. Adams probably thought she was stupid for forgetting her toothbrush. And everyone thought she was greedy for eating all the tomato sauce. How could she sleep with all these thoughts in her head? She wanted to cry, but she didn't want Ching Ching to hear her. In the bunk below, Ching Ching switched off her lamp. "Good night, Olivia," she said. "Good night," said Olivia, hoping her voice sounded normal. Olivia turned off her lamp too. The room was dark now. How long until morning? Olivia rolled her sigh and pretended she was in her own bed. Imagine her own room, her own toys, her own blankets over her. Her mum in the room next door, and she must have worked because soon she was fast asleep. Olivia had strange dreams. She woke up for a moment. She couldn't work out where she was. She was on the bed, on the wrong side of the window, and up high. Her pillow smelt funny. It was still dark, and she could hear a clock ticking below someone her breathing. She couldn't remember her dream, but she felt wide awake. What time is it? Definitely too early. What time is it? Definitely too early to get up. At home, she would have gotten to the toilet and then maybe crept into her mom's bed for a cuddle until the morning. That wasn't a good thing to think about right now. It made her feel sorry for herself. Instead, she would think of warm, sleepy things like hot chocolate before bed, sheepskin slippers, and the sound of heavy rain on the roof. When Olivia opened her eyes again, it was probably Saturday morning. The sunlight was bright through Ching Ching's curtains. Bed covers felt too warm now. Olivia listened. The house was still very quiet. Not sleeping quiet, but empty quiet. She peered out over the edge of her bunk bed and looked for Ching Ching. Her bed was a trouble of blankets and sheets, but there was no Ching Ching in it. Olivia couldn't decide whether to get up or stay where she was and wait for Ching Ching to come back. Would it be worse to lie in bed for ages and wait for Ching Ching? Or worse, to go down the hallway and bump into Henry, Daniel, or William? While she was wearing her pink green pajamas, she was sitting up at the bed, on top of her head, most brushing the ceiling when Ching Ching appeared in the doorway. "Oh, you're up," she said. "Good. We have the house to ourselves." "Where's everyone gone?" asked Olivia. "The boys are going to play sports on Saturday, so Dad has taken Henry to the field, and Mom has taken Daniel and William to another. They'll be back for lunch, though." Phew! They could avoid horrible Daniel at least until lunchtime. She climbed down from the bed. "The boys have eaten all the good cereal," she said Ching Ching. There's only bread left for us." "Are you allowed to use the stove?" asked Olivia. "Maybe, Ching Ching." "Why? I could make us French toast. My mom and I make it all the time." "Cool," said Ching Ching. "We better get that. That's way better than cereal. What do you need?" "Eggs, milk, and butter." "And Olivia," said Olivia. "And a frying pan. And bread, of course." While Olivia was set mixing the eggs and milk, soaking the bread, "While I'm making things, she should find some cinnamon sugar with it." Ching Ching looked. "We don't have any," she said. "Maple syrup?" "No," said Ching Ching. "What about honey?" That will work, said Olivia, dropping the first slice of bread into the frying pan. It sizzled nicely. We got bananas and strawberries too, said Ching Ching. Perfect, said Olivia, turning to the toast. In the end, it was a beautiful breakfast. Olivia had cooked 2 slices of French toast for each of them. Ching Ching decorated them with honey, slices of fruit. Wait, said Ching Ching, one more thing. She pulled out whipped cream. She pulled out a can of whipped cream out of the fridge and squirted it a long squiggle onto the plate. That, said Olivia, it's so fancy. Yes, said Ching Ching, almost too fancy to eat. Yeah, said Ching Ching. They were quiet for a second, admiring their work. Then Ching Ching caught Olivia's eye and smiled. No, she said, I can't eat it. Me too, said Olivia. They sat by the pool, dangling their legs in the water while eating the toaster, their plates balanced on their laps. This is so nice, said Olivia. Yeah, said Ching Ching. I wish the boys could do this every Saturday. No boys yelling, no parents nagging. It's nice having It is nice having a big family, asked Olivia. Is it nice having a big family, asked Olivia. Mostly I get tired of being the smallest sometimes, though. Olivia was the biggest and smallest rolled up into her family. But she thought she understood what Ching Ching meant. Still, she said, I bet you couldn't get bored. No, said Ching Ching, eating her last strawberry on her plate. There was a loud bang from the house. As the front door slammed shut, then Mrs. Adams yelled out from the back door, Ching Ching! Oh no, said Ching Ching, they're back already. We haven't even had our Sunday morning skinny dip yet. Chapter 8. Only 2 more chapters until this book is finished. Ching Ching, said Miss Adams when they were back inside. Have you been using the stove? Olivia froze. Her hands were on the dirty plates from breakfast. In the kitchen, sitting on the sink, was a dirty frying pan she had used to cook the French toast. No, said Ching Ching. Olivia couldn't believe her ears. Miss Adams looked angry, more angry than a wild fish. Ching Ching, said Mrs. Adams, don't lie to me. Have you been using the stove? I promise, said Ching Ching. I promise, said Ching Ching. I never touched the stove. Did I, Olivia? Miss Adams turned to Olivia, and Olivia was so frightened that she could hardly breathe. Is Ching Ching telling the truth? Asked Miss Adams. Yes, said Olivia in a shaky voice. See, said Ching Ching to her mum. Well then, said Miss Adams, who made all this mess? I don't know, said Ching Ching. She was about to say more, but Olivia spoke up. I did, Olivia said. She didn't know what would happen to her now, but she couldn't keep quiet. She'd rather die than have Miss Adams get angry with her. She had never lied to her mum. And you didn't know how to tell the truth? I used the stove, she said quietly. Miss Adams looked at her, and Ching Ching stared at her. You, Olivia, said Miss Adams. I cooked French toast, said Olivia. She looked at Ching Ching, but her face was careful blank. I see, Miss Adams. Didn't Ching Ching tell you she isn't allowed to use the stove without a grown-up in the house? Olivia shook her head. I mean, she did, said it quickly, but not wanting to get Ching Ching in trouble. She thought perhaps it might be all right. Miss Adams sighed and looked at the two of them. I'm sorry to say this, said Olivia, but Ching Ching did not tell you the truth. In this house, the children are not allowed to cook on their own. I'm sorry, said Olivia, almost in a whisper. Ching 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 Ching, said Miss Adams. I'm so angry with you right now. Did you know the stove was left on? When I came in the hot plate, it was glowing red. That's how the fires start. And the house is burned down. And houses burn down. And people get badly hurt. Ching Ching said nothing. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Said Miss Adams. The boys ate all the good cereal, said Ching Ching. There was nothing left for us to eat. That's not quite true, said Mrs. Adams. You could have used the toaster or the microwave. You could have had banana sandwiches, or you could have had milkshakes. You weren't going to starve, Miss Adams said, opening the fridge to show Ching Ching all the things they could have for breakfast. Look, she said, orange juice, watermelon, cheese, tomatoes. You could have hay. You could have had hay. Did you eat all the strawberries? Oh, no, thought Olivia. Right, said Miss Adams, slamming the fridge. Go to your room now. Ching Ching, I'm still furious. The two girls fled. Chapter 9. Before I read to you chapter 9, I wanted to say that I realized Ching Ching's mother was getting a little bit cranky because Ching Ching used the stove without her permission, and she had a point because if you left the stove on, you could burn the house down or it could catch fire. And let me tell you a story. One time without telling my dad, I was gonna make cookies, but I put them in the microwave for too long, and then it started smoking, and then the whole room smelled bad, and because of that, my dad had to run and switch on the stove, and I had to clean it all up with the vacuum cleaner, and I had to get it off the plate, which was really difficult. And let's read chapter 9. In Ching Ching's room, Olivia finally started to breathe again. I thought your mom was gonna kill us, she said. She would have if you'd kept talking, said Ching Ching. Me, said Olivia. What did I do? Only you told her everything, said Ching Ching. If you'd kept quiet, we'd be outside having a swim. Olivia was shocked. What are you talking about? She said. I left the stove on and we weren't even meant to touch it. So, said Ching Ching, you lied to your mom. And you lied to your mom. Sort of, said Ching Ching, but it wasn't a big lie. Olivia stared at her friend and thought Ching Ching was crazy to lie to Mrs. Adams. Ching Ching sighed. Look, she said, you don't have any brothers or sisters. You probably don't understand. When you have a big family, you don't need to get into trouble. Mom and Dad are so busy that there's so many of us, and we can just do what you like. As long as everyone keeps quiet and Mom and Dad never work out who did what. And so no one gets the blame. That's terrible, said Olivia, but she could also see that it was a bit exciting too. But you dobbed on us. How could we have to sit there, said Ching Ching. Your mum would have known it through us, said Olivia. We're the only ones home, probably, said Ching Ching. But maybe if she left with Daniel and William before Dad and Henry left, maybe it wasn't us after all. Olivia thought about her place. With just her mom. Her mom could tell exactly what Olivia did. Every dropped sock, every wet towel, every crumb on the coffee table. Who else could it be? It was hard to imagine what it would be like to live in Ching Ching's house. You could get away with so many things. On the other hand, they made it lonely sometimes. Olivia liked that her mom knew everything about her. Anyway, said Ching Ching, it was worth it. The best breakfast I've ever had. You're a shocker, said Olivia. I know, said Ching Ching. I'm really naughty, but guess what? I'm also full of French toast and strawberries, and I don't care. Olivia laughed. She couldn't help it, and Ching Ching was terrible, but she was so funny that Olivia knew that stuck in Ching Ching's room because they were a disgrace, but right now giggling with her best friend even seemed kind of fun. Before I start chapter 10, I want to say that even though it upset Olivia did the right thing for telling the truth. Even though it hurt Ching Ching, she still made the right choice for telling the truth instead of lying. And there's someone in my life, I don't really want to mention her name, but I can't trust her because she did lots of lying, and she told lots of lies and hiding, and that's why when I found out she was lying, it was very harmful for me. When I realized she was lying about everything. And anyway, chapter 10. They started in Ching Ching's room. They stayed in Ching Ching's room for ages. Reading books, playing with Ching Ching's toys. They heard Mr. Adams come home with Henry. Then all three brothers and Mr. Adams went outside for a swim. Ching Ching and Olivia watched them from the bedroom window. The boys were diving and booming and into the pool as the water splashing in the waves all over the sides. Mr. Adams was sitting on the steps in the shallow end, water up to his chest, cheering the boys on. Well done, William, he called. That was the biggest bomb yet. Watch out, Henry Daniel's in your way. I'm bored now, said Ching Ching. Don't you think we've been stuck in here long enough? Maybe, said Olivia doubtfully. In fact, she felt safe in Ching Ching's room. Outside, Mrs. Adams was cross with them, and Daniel might be embarrassing her again. Who knew what other trouble was waiting? In here, she had Ching Ching all to herself. They could play until her mum came to take her home. We could do another magazine quiz, she said, but Ching Ching was already opening the bedroom door. The smell of frying onions spread in, and Ching Ching stood with her head in the hallway sniffing it deeply. Oh, she said, longing, hamburger's my favorite. It seemed like a long time since breakfast. Olivia's stomach growled. I'd love a hamburger, she said, but my mum's coming to pick me up soon. Before lunch or after? Asked Ching Ching. I'm not sure, but will you stay for hamburger? But you will stay for hamburgers, won't you? I hope so, said Olivia, because the smell was getting stronger and more delicious every minute. Oops, said Ching Ching, jumping back inside the room, shutting the door. Mom's coming. They secured into Ching Ching's bed and pretended to read books. Mrs. Adams opened the door. Okay, you two, she said, lunchtime. Olivia, do you know what time your mom is picking you up? No, said Olivia. Well, you've got time for a burger anyway. Your mom can join us if she gets here early. And then she said more sternly, looking at Ching Ching. Sorry, in the mess in her bedroom. You can come back here and tidy up a bit. Lunch was actually quite fun. They put their hamburgers together on the dining table. Sorry. Olivia tried to make sure Daniel was nowhere near when she got her burger. She tried to avoid the tomato sauce too. She was just putting some lettuce on her bun and decided whether to have beetroot or cheese when someone beside her said, "Do you want some lemonade?" Olivia looked up and froze. It was Daniel, pouring lemonade into a plastic cups. Was he teasing her? Was he being rude? Somehow, what should she say? Daniel just smiled and passed her a cup. Thanks, said Olivia. She didn't know what else to say. She suddenly thought maybe it didn't really matter about the tomato sauce after all. She went out with her burger and found Ching Ching under a tree, already eating. Olivia realized her sleepover was almost over. A part of her felt glad it would be nice to go back home, where she knew the rules and liked all the food. Another part of her felt sad because she was going to miss Ching Ching. She would even miss the things that frightened her. Mrs. Adams when she was angry, Daniel and the brave, lonely feeling she had sleeping in Ching Ching's top bunk. Mr. Adams called down from the back door. Olivia, look who's here. Olivia looked up and saw her mum. She looked short next to Mr. Adams, and Olivia had forgotten how pretty she was. Oh, bum, said Ching Ching. Now you'll have to go home, I suppose. Yeah, said Olivia. She couldn't tell if she was happy or sad. They wandered back towards the house. Hi, Mum, said Olivia. Hi, baby, said her mum. Olivia didn't want to hug her in front of everybody. Luckily, her mum seemed to know this. Have you had a good time? Asked her mum. Yeah. Have you behaved yourself? Yeah, said Olivia, looking sideways at Mrs. Adams. Mrs. Adams laughed. She's been a peach, said. She's been up to a few tricks, but nothing too terrible. Olivia smiled with relief. Have you packed? Said her mum. Not yet. Go on then. I'll stay and chat with Mr. Adams. You do. In Ching Ching's room. Olivia found a box of chocolates she had packed in her pajamas. Oh, I forgot to give this to your mum, she said. Let's keep them, said Ching Ching, or we could tell Mum that she can only have them if she promises you can sleep over next weekend. Or you could sleep over at my house, said Olivia. Or I could make French toast again for breakfast. Ching Ching dragged Olivia's bag to the front door. For some reason, she didn't seem to zip up as well as it had the day before. Olivia's pink and green pajamas stuck out from the top, but she didn't care who saw them. Thank you for having me, she said to Mrs. Adams, giving her the chocolates. Oh, lovely, said Miss Adams. These will be even better than strawberries after dinner tonight. Olivia blushed. She took the bag from Ching Ching and followed her mum out the front door. Bye, she said, waving. She felt happy and brave, somehow more grown up than yesterday. I'm glad you had fun, said her mum as they got in the car. Yes, said Olivia, I really did. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story that I just read for you. And if you want to listen to more of my stories, please like and subscribe. Bye.